In a move that has sent ripples across the international stage, the United Kingdom has formally recognized the State of Palestine. The announcement, made just days ago on the 21st of September 2025, marks a profound departure from decades of British foreign policy. For years, the UK held that recognition could only come at the end of a negotiated peace process with Israel. Now, that long-held principle has been set aside. This is not a decision taken lightly. It reflects a significant recalibration of Britain's approach. The government has stated this is a necessary step, not an end in itself, but a new beginning aimed at revitalizing a moribund peace process. The timing of this declaration is critical. It arrives after months of intense diplomatic activity and growing international frustration. The situation on the ground, particularly the devastating humanitarian crisis in Gaza, created an undeniable sense of urgency. Under pressure at home and abroad, the government concluded that the previous strategy was no longer tenable. Recognizing Palestine, they argue, gives momentum to advocates for peace and strengthens moderate Palestinian leaders, providing a tangible political horizon. The backdrop to this monumental policy shift is the dire situation in Gaza. The conflict that intensified over the past year has resulted in an unprecedented humanitarian catastrophe. Reports from aid agencies painted a grim picture of widespread destruction, a collapsed healthcare system, and a population on the brink of famine. The sheer scale of civilian suffering was broadcast across the world day after day. In the UK, protests became a regular feature in major cities. Parliament echoed with impassioned calls for more than simple appeals. The moral weight of the crisis became impossible to ignore. Following the lead of Ireland, Spain, and Norway, a wave of European nations had already moved to recognize Palestine, creating a sense of diplomatic isolation for the UK. The United States softened its rhetoric. At the UN, the legal and political tide was turning, with international courts examining the conduct of all parties. Continuing the old policy risked appearing complicit in a system failing to protect civilian life and uphold international law. Ultimately, harrowing images from Gaza, sustained public protest, and the shifting positions of key allies forced a rethink. Managing the conflict was no longer viable. Before this historic recognition could take place, the UK government laid down a clear and robust framework. 5 specific conditions were publicly announced, creating a pathway requiring tangible actions. The 5 conditions, with check marks next to each one. Condition 1. The establishment of a durable and permanent ceasefire in Gaza. This was non-negotiable. A demand to end the bloodshed and create space for diplomacy. Condition 2. Unimpeded, sustained aid into Gaza, opening land crossings and ensuring aid worker safety. Condition 3. A firm, public rejection of unilateral annexation in the West Bank to preserve a viable, contiguous Palestinian state. Condition 4. A renewed, unequivocal commitment by Palestinian leadership to a two-state solution, recognizing Israel's right to exist in peace and security. The 5th was the most complex. Hamas had to release all remaining Israeli hostages and have no role in the future governance of Palestine. The UK would not legitimize a group it designates as terrorist. By the time the UK announced recognition on September 21st, it said a ceasefire was holding, aid was flowing more freely, and the necessary political commitments had been secured, creating the diplomatic space for this landmark decision. For generations, the UK deferred recognition to a final status deal. This new policy is a reversal, recognition as a tool to restart the process. By recognizing the state of Palestine, the UK aims to empower the Palestinian Authority and other moderate voices. Providing a clear political horizon, the tangible reality of statehood strengthens moderates against extremist factions and renews hope. On the 21st of September 2025, the Foreign Secretary confirmed the decision, followed by a symbolic flag raising in London. The government stressed this is not an anti-Israel move, but a pro-solution step. It argues Israel's security and prosperity are intrinsically linked to a sovereign, viable Palestinian state. This is a declaration that the two-state solution is not one option among many, but the only viable path to lasting peace for both peoples. Britain has called on other G7 nations to build a critical mass of diplomatic pressure and bring both sides back to talks on a more equal footing. The UK's vision is clear: a secure Israel existing side by side with a democratic and prosperous Palestine. It will no longer wait for peace to happen, but will actively work to create the conditions for it.